everybody, it's AJ back again for the Mighty Glue Stick, your certified gluten-free Monster Ecology video channel. This is another campaign update, and because it's another Sunday on and it's the second week in our fortnightly games, and so we rejoin Zev, Zyos, Leodan, Rhea, Kalen, and Kier the Kobold as they adventure in the Trollbark Forest in the Forgotten Realms along the Sword Coast. They decided to carry on into the dungeons, the ruins beneath the stone circle that they discovered earlier, and they discovered that down the end of the stairs that they were camped out before last week, there was a chamber with a locked door of giant proportions. They also discovered that there was a side chamber, and there was another much larger chamber off to the other side of the sort of crossed corridors that they were at. So they decided to go into the smaller of the chambers first, sending Kier forward to investigate with his keen little kobold eyes. Although he's getting progressively more upset about being basically the cannon fodder that they send in first, as became clearer later on. So he gets sent in and he looks around and he says, "Oh, there's some glowy runes on the walls. There seems to be some magical writing." They can tell it's magical because the runes actually float like a millimeter off the surface of the actual material that it's written on. So it's definitely magical writing of some kind. Leodan, the Wood Elf Ranger, is able to speak Giant and Dwarvish and can actually read these runes quite well. So he goes in and says, "Oh, this is a magical circle that allows you to observe other areas that are also under a similar enchantment, kind of like a security station where they can observe other areas where these watch places have been set up." And he sees that there's a bunch of words written in Giantish, which are on the opposite wall, and so he starts reading them out in order that they're written to discover where they are. So he reads the first one, which is Chotun, and it's a image of them as a group standing in the room that they're in. So he gets to see from the security station's perspective what their group looks like. He then says the next word, which is Jorgan, and it shows him the other side of the locked door down the end of the stairs and the other chamber. And it seems to be locked by some sort of a mechanism, although he can't tell what that mechanism is from his perspective. He goes on to the next room, which is Modru, and he suddenly sees that the point of view is under some sort of a lake or a big body of water. It appears that it has disturbed some sort of resident creature, some sort of eel-like beast, or several of them, which are swimming away as he flicks into view, and it's in some sort of a stone circle at the bottom of some big body of water. So it appears that the runes sort of lit up and spooked whatever creature was down there, and he thinks that possibly it might be have some relation to the Sahuagin that they fought right at the very start of the adventure, or possibly at some other way out of the complex that's underwater. He then moves on to the next room, which was Ganta, and he is in an iron cage looking out over a massive chasm with a big bridge, arcing bridge down below, and way down below the bridge is some sort of a red glow that looks like either magma flows or some sort of red crystal. He then crawls out the next bot, and he's looking at a big, long, giant-sized barrack room with lots of bunk beds, and there appears to be a couple of bodies sleeping underneath masses of furs. He can't tell what they are, but he can certainly tell that they're giant in proportion. He thinks they may be trolls. He then calls out the last one, which is Torka, and he's looking at a stairway going down into a deeper chasm. It appears to be underneath where that bridge was, and he could see that the red glow seams that he saw are in fact crystal with some sort of liquid flowing down through them or behind them, and he's not sure whether it's natural or artificial. He then snaps back to the rest of the room and informs the rest of the party what he saw, and they're all like, okay, seems like some sort of a big complex. They then move over to the next room, which they discover is full of giant cockroaches and other insects. There seems to be a mushroom, a big giant mushroom of some kind, with a bug which is specifically attached to that mushroom. It looks like a big sort of round ladybug type creature. There's some sort of weird ant creature on the top of a platform, and lots of giant cockroaches, which scatter out of the way as soon as they fire an arrow at it, speculatively to see whether they're aggressive or scaredy cat bugs. They turn out to be scaredy cat bugs. One of them runs over to the corner where it is swiftly pounced upon by a giant spider. They then decide to do battle with the giant spider because, according to the ladies in the group, they cannot suffer a giant spider to live, even a fictitious one. So they do battle with the giant spider and quickly dispatch it, all the while going, ew, because it is kind of creepy and disgusting, and it was leaking ichor everywhere, and it had babies attached to it, little baby spiders that ran off. So yeah, I was playing it up for maximum grossness, but they handle it really well. Then they sent Kia to go over and investigate the strange bug that wasn't a scaredy cat. It was standing its ground on the stone platform with a little stairwell going up to it. And they discovered that, Kia discovered that it wasn't actually a real bug. It was some sort of an organic decoy made out of bug shell that was concealing a trapdoor that an ankeg leapt out of and grabbed hold of Kia, doing great amounts of damage to him. In a lethal pounce, and everybody then engaged in pitched battle with the ankeg, which they managed to dispatch so swiftly, in fact, that it didn't even get a chance to let off an acid spray, which would have hurt them all. Kia managed to limp away into the corner and patch himself up, and they then, after searching through the remains of the spider's nest, found a healing potion in an old adventurer's pack and managed to heal Kia up. After I pointed out that they're all being bigoted by not giving him a healing potion just because he was an NPC in the party and not an actual player character. They all felt bad about it and healed up poor little Kia. They also discovered some gold coins inside the ankeg, and again divvied things up by 5s, not 6s. And I pointed out that Kia deserves an equal share. So they gave Kia some coins, which he promptly handed over to Zyos, who was his Dragonborn master, who pocketed them without a second thought. So that was quite hilarious. So they all left that area, having been advised by Kia not to go anywhere near the bug that was on the fungus because it's an exploding spore bug, whatever that means. They decided not to find out. They then went down the stairs into the little antechamber, which turned out to have some trapped steps, giant-sized steps, 5 feet high, that if you didn't stand on them with specifically magical boots, you'd get hit with some sort of a lightning bolt. But there was another way up, so they climbed up onto a platform 10 feet higher than the floor and inserted the key into... They found a key at the bottom of what they thought was a dug-out burrow from the ankeg, but in actual fact it was just taking advantage of a natural trapdoor with a key down the bottom of it. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. So that was the giant-sized key that was for the door. So they opened up the door and went through to discover even more giant cockroaches on the other side that was too scared to go forward and obviously too scared to go back into the adventurers. And they were like, okay, well, we don't want to fight our way through these damn cockroaches, so let's just step back from the doorway and let them out, let them go through. They then proceeded to charge through the door, and 2 of them landed on the magical steps and got hit with the lightning bolts, filling the room up with disgusting bug smoke, much like they were caught in some gigantic bug zapper. Bzzz. They then discovered, after entering into this little corridor, that the reason why the bugs wouldn't go forward is because there was a detached, magically animated giant's heart, like an actual heart, with tentacles stemming from it, that was slopping around in the middle of the room that looked very dangerous. And after firing at it with an arrow, with the arrow just bouncing off it, they discovered that it couldn't be harmed with non-magical weapons. So as they just happened to have a couple of magic throwing individuals in their group, proceeded to pelt it with all sorts of magical attacks until it expired, turned to stone, and then died. Oh, also, in the midst of this, Leodane had harvested a acid sac from the ankeg and decided to spray it all over the heart just in case, but was a bit disappointed that it didn't actually do anything because it wasn't a magical attack. But once it got killed and turned into stone, it swiftly dissolved in the acid, which slowly fizzled away, oxidized, and became inert. They then carried on, a little more wary for whatever the hell had caused that heart thing to come into being in the first place. So they then carried on investigating, went a little bit further, discovered a branching off corridor which went in two different directions forward. They then discovered that when they got up to the end of it, that they actually recombined back into a sort of a twisting corridor that linked up to a large room that had some foul smell coming out of it. And when they went in to investigate, they discovered a giant that was lying on top of a big smashed up pile of timber, and there were bones scattered all over the place. It turns out that this was once a banquet table, fully laden banquet table with silver cutlery and dinnerware all over it, that had been smashed to pieces, and the giant had died in severe agony. His arms still outstretched, his mouth locked in a rictus scream, and his chest cavity burst open as something has obviously removed his heart. Aha! So something had happened to this guy, and it was most likely his heart that they were fighting earlier. But he's long dead and decayed and full of all sorts of bugs that were wriggling around in his dead flesh. And they went to investigate whether he had anything interesting on him, managed to pry him over so that he rolled over onto his front, and in a pouch at the back they found that he had a big hammer, some sort of carving spikes, and he also had a leather-wrapped bundle of 2 magical daggers, plus 1 silver daggers that he had secured there. So they had a little bit of a discussion about who would get those daggers, and decided that it was best that those who didn't have any magical weapons had the daggers so that they could fight anything that was not harmed by magic later on. They then went next door and discovered that there was a room coming off there that was actually some sort of a larder or kitchen. And they had a look around. There was nothing really interesting there, just a lot of rotten stuff in cupboards. They did find a cookbook and tore out a couple of pages which detailed the best recipes for cooking human beings, because they thought that they could probably sell these in some city later on for quite a fair amount of money, because they were legitimate and quite macabre, and they would probably be very popular with rich nobles who would titter and laugh about owning such risque material. That was pretty much the end of it. We started a little bit late that day, and it had sort of dragged on a bit with all the combat and things, so we decided to call it there, and we will continue on in a fortnight's time. Hopefully everybody will be there. We played the game DM Scotty style, with somebody playing at work whilst just listening in, and with an audio connection on a tablet right beside me, so that was quite a cool experience. And hopefully we'll have everybody back at the table for the next exciting installment. Thanks for listening, everybody.